Welcome back to Low Ballers, episode 5?
Yeah,
it's
episode
fifth episode.
5.
Okay. This week we're brought to you by Arby's because we have the meat. Arby's is not a sponsor yet. So this week we're going to start right off in the NFL and talk about the Sunday night football game where Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers trounced Tennessee. It got close for a second there. I think it was within 5 points.
Yeah, in the third quarter there was a chance, but it went away pretty quick.
Dissipated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, Aaron Rodgers, that's your NFC MVP, right? Probably the NFL MVP.
That's the NFL MVP, in my opinion. He's a bad man. He's definitely coming into his own.
Ron. So, I mean,
him and Matt LaFleur are clicking.
I'll save that for later. I don't want to get ahead of the game on the toast. So, the other things that kind of jumped out this week, the Browns played the Jets with their JV squad. Did not win that. Putting them on, that's going to lead into our next little segment here, which is the playoff bubble. The Browns with a win over the Jets would already be in the playoffs, but so now that they didn't win, they're one of the bubble teams we're going to talk about.
We can't forget about the Bears. They're a bubble team, and they trounced the Jaguars in the second half. It's 10-10 at the first half, but they definitely came through with that win, needed win.
So the Browns, for anybody who doesn't know, the Browns are win and in, which means that they win the game against the Steelers, they're in. If they lose that game, they could still get in, but the scenarios become pretty unlikely. Like Jacksonville needs to beat Tennessee is who they're playing, I believe it is. That's not going to happen. Jacksonville's playing the Colts. After that, it's like some of the scenarios are like the Browns have to tie and get some help. The Browns are going to get a tie. So basically, they just need to win this game, beat the Steelers, and then they're in playoffs.
For the first time in 8 years?
It's the longest drought in the NFL. I think it's longer than 8 years. On the NFC side, the team that controls their own destiny is the Bears. That's the good news.
Yep, I'll take it.
The bad news is they control their own destiny when Aaron comes to town.
And he actually needs to win, because if they don't win, they don't get the first spot. So they need a win since Seattle won this weekend.
Certainly, it appears that winning the NFC by any team not named Green Bay or New Orleans is going to be a daunting task, because if you're not one of those two teams, not only will you have to beat one of those two teams, but you'll have to do it at their place. And I think most of us would agree that those are two of the best home field advantages in NFL. So
yeah,
good luck going to Lambeau in the winter and trying to get a win there, and good luck trying to get a win in New Orleans ever, especially in a playoff atmosphere. But so the Bears are winning in. Then if they lose, that opens it up for the Cardinals and Rams and a few other teams on the bubble.
Both the Cardinals and Rams will probably be playing backup quarterbacks this week because Jared Goff broke his thumb, and then Cliff Kingsbury came out today and said that Murray has hurt his leg, so he might not be playing this weekend.
Wow, that's obviously a tremendous loss for the Cardinals. Yeah. The last part of usually when you talk about playoff bubble, you're talking about wild card teams, but this year, 2020, it gets even weirder. The worst record in the NFC picture will not be by a wild card team, but will in fact be by the NFC East champions. And so on that scenario, the Washington football team, the Fighting Ron Swansons, are the win and in team. They play on Monday night against the Eagles, and if they win, they're in. If they don't win, the winner of the Sunday game,
Giants and Cowboys, right?
Yes, the Giants and Cowboys. So after everything the Cowboys have been through this year,
they still got a shot.
Still alive. If they win Sunday, they get to root for the Eagles, which has got to be a dirty thing for a Cowboys fan. But I guess it's okay because they don't much like Washington either. So
I don't think they're fans of themselves right now.
They're just bitter fans. So Cowboys win, and then they hope Washington loses and they're in. Same for the Giants, and if Washington wins, then they're in. And conversely, if Washington loses, they have no chance. It would go to one of those other two teams.
Yes.
So, and on the college side of things, we always try to talk about as broad of a range of subjects as we can, but we're both OU guys, so we always like to talk about OU. And OU's upcoming opponent in the Cotton Bowl, the Florida Gators, are doing their best Cleveland Brown impersonation by having their top 4 receivers out, to 2 defensive players, and I think even the shoe throwing guy, I think he's out.
Is he out?
OU will have to make their own first downs. We won't be able to rely on a shoe throw. But other than that, I mean, I think you were telling me earlier, OU was 3-point underdogs when the line came out,
and now they're 3-point favorites.
As of today, they're 3-point favorites. So 6-point swing there.
All the money's going on one side.
Yeah. So You know where my money's going if you watch this channel, and it's going to be on the
under.
OU under. It is my bread and butter pick for the year.
I think it's like 70.
Before then, the college, not before then, but before we shoot our video next week, the college football playoffs will have gotten underway with Clemson playing Ohio State and Alabama playing Notre Dame. And I'm going straight chalk on that. I think Clemson and Alabama meet for the championship. You see that any different?
Yet again. No, they seem to always meet there, and it's going to be a good championship game. But I don't feel like Dabo has any fear of Ohio State. You don't do that much trash talking unless you know you're going to win. And I think Notre Dame's like 19-point dogs to Alabama, which I guess they should be.
So for those keeping track at home, I picked Clemson, Steven picked Clemson, and Dabo Swinney definitely has picked Clemson to win this game. So that'll be great. And then so next week we'll be talking about the championship game and whether or not that features those two teams. We'll talk about it either way, and we'll have thoughts on that at that time. I'm not going to get too much into those games. I think we just agree the chalk wins, so there's not really much to talk about there. So every week we go to Vegas, but before we go, we have to recap our last trip to Vegas. And so as you know, I am... Where's my little chain at? Oh, it's over here. Almost lost my top secret. I've been wearing this chain now for 2 weeks in a row. And I think we all expect that I would win it again. So to see if that happened, let's talk about our last week's picks. My lock of the week was the Browns, -9.5. And that did not go well.
My lock of the week were the Bears -7.5. And it went amazing. It wasn't even close. It went exactly like I thought it would. That Bears defense is nasty, and Roquan Smith got 2 picks.
I almost, honestly, after you made that pick and showed it to me, I almost put it as part of my lineup, but I decided not to take that road. I didn't see that pick myself when I looked at the board, and I should have. That was a great pick. The Bears are playing for their playoff lives, and Jacksonville doesn't even want to win. That should have been an easy.
And Mitch Trubisky looks like the punky QB that I always hoped he'd be. He's just out there running back and forth, tossing dimes, and still throwing interceptions in the end zone. But we'll let it slide as long as we're winning.
So because of my missed pick, mostly because of COVID, because as we know the Browns are missing a ton of players, our combined locks of the week, the last 3 weeks are 5-1. And our shocks of the week, now our shocks have been hit or miss, but this week we agreed on the shock of the week, which was we both said San Francisco +4.5 over Arizona.
I said take the money line.
We didn't even need
about the points.
Didn't need the 4.5 at all. We could have given up 4.5 and still won the game. So that brings me to 1-1 and puts you at 2-0. And I'm going to save you the suspense. That is the only game I won this week. I went 1-4. So before Steven even tells you how he got it, I'm going to go ahead and not only give up the cash money necklace, but that doesn't even seem for how bad my picks were. I've been talking about Notre Dame doing this to you all year. Last week, anybody who took my picks was hoodwinked, bamboozled, and run amok. Though it doesn't seem punishment enough to only give up the chain, so I'm gonna take off this Boston hat. Now, I'm not a Boston Red Sox fan, so people that know me, I have tried to visit every Major League Baseball stadium, and I buy the hats as I go. So I own 22 of them now, and I'm hoping to get the remaining 8 as soon as possible. I'm going to switch that cap out with the Dunce cap, which is this weird-looking fedora that I have. So when you go 1-4 or worse, I think you got to...
It looks very Bear Bryant.
So it was bad. So Steven, you can talk about your last 3 picks.
Well, my last 3 picks is I took Chargers in Denver, and the Chargers covered easy. It wasn't even close, and they were -3. I had Philly covering over Dallas, and that did not hit. That was a guaranteed loss. Man, Dallas surprised me. They're looking a lot better. And I had the Raging Cajuns against UTSA -14.
Yeah, they won by 7. So, and that was a weird game. If you watched it, I did watch that game. There was so much good offense in that game that didn't result in points. Like they would go down the field, turn the ball over, go down the field again, miss the field goal, and it was just couldn't. And this wasn't just the Raging Cajuns. Both teams did it at times. It was just couldn't seem to quite finish drives. So they won by 7, which is not enough to cover the 14. Now the Eagles were up 14-3. They jumped all over. I mean,
that was a lot. Hurts was looking like a solid QB there for a minute.
I also had the Eagles, and I was feeling great about it. I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go, we got this. And no, that's not how it went.
Yeah.
So Steven goes 3-2 on the week. And I go 1-4, my first losing week, and it was I figure if you're going to have a losing week, you might as well arrive in style. So this week, I'll let you do the honors of giving your lock of the week first.
Let's do it. All right, my lock of the week is I'm going to take OU -3. I think it's kind of going to be like the Jets and Browns, missing too many players and not enough time to like fix the holes. So I feel like OU beats them pretty handily.
So that is the third time I think that you've had OU and
they haven't failed me.
No. Similarly, I have picked the OU under, and it hasn't failed me. So since this channel started in a short time, we've had OU and the under twice. It's won twice. Let's see if we can make it 3 times. OU and Florida under the 70. That's my lock of the week. So now we got the lock of the week. We need the shock of the week.
My shock of the week. I am going to take the Jets +3.5 over New England. And I think they actually just beat them outright. That's what makes it the shock of the week. I feel like the Jets are rolling, which I never thought I would say. And I feel like New England's just done. I feel like Bill Belichick and Cam Newton are a match made in hell, and it's just not going to work out. And I think everyone can accept it now.
The Jets, they've come out fighting.
I know.
They could have just gone quietly into the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, and they said, no.
Sam Darnold's like, I'm not losing my job.
I'm going to show some pride.
This time.
And that's funny, like, last week, you asked me if I thought Sam Darnold might get a revenge game against Cleveland. I said, he's good. I don't not like Sam Darnold. I just didn't think he had anybody to throw to. And as it turns out, Baker was the one with nobody to throw to. And that was the weird thing about that Browns game. They threw the ball out, was it 50 to 53 times with no receivers. I mean, it was just really weird to watch.
And a tight end running out there, I think.
So now that you got your shock of the weekend, I need my shock of the week, and I'm going to do a double shocker this week. 2 7-point underdogs. I'm going to take Army plus the 7 to beat West Virginia, and Cincinnati plus the 7 to beat Georgia.
Oh, yeah? That's a shock.
That's just one of those lines where I feel like everybody's going towards Georgia. And
Vegas knows better.
Anytime you see everybody going towards a favorite, that's a good time to look the other way and say, wait a minute, let me get these points. So now I've got 3 picks in. I'll let you do your last 3.
My pick, one of my picks, is I actually took Georgia. So I took Georgia minus the 7. I kind of went with the favorites here. I took Wisconsin minus 7 also. And then I'm going to round it out because Dallas looks really good this week, and I think Dallas covers minus 3.
I want to take Wisconsin, but man, there were times earlier in the year where I thought they looked like a playoff team.
Yeah, they were.
And there's been times this year where I'm like, who is this team? So I hopefully with some rest and they get their team together, I
feel like they always got solid running games, and I feel like running games travel well no matter where they're playing at. So they're just gonna come out and just down their throat and open.
Hopefully the time off those get right.
Yeah.
I think if Wisconsin's gotten right, I think they do win.
They always have good coaching too.
So I'm going to take, going towards the favorite, I'm going to take Clemson minus the 7.5 to beat Ohio State. I think they win that game by 14 to 17 points. And the only other pick I have was the Broncos plus 2.5. Anytime the Broncos are at home, I give them a look. I don't always take them, but I give them a look. And this time they're plus 2.5 at home against the Raiders. Now, for the purpose of this channel, we don't permit buying the hook. You take the spread as it is. But when I bet the game, I'll take the Broncos. I'll buy the half point. I'll take them at plus 3. But
I buy the full point. I want that 3.5.
But for the purpose of this, plus 2.5, I'll take the Broncos.
I think to go pick. I think Oakland's reeling, and they got nothing to play for. I feel like everyone, not Oakland, Las Vegas. I feel like Las Vegas was on the. If he could wear the wrong hat, I could say the wrong team. But I feel like everyone was riding them early, especially after they beat KC. But I think I heard somewhere that he's like 0-12 after November.
Really?
Yeah, John Gruden is awful after November. I don't know if it's the turkey or what, but awful.
I did not know that about him. The Raiders certainly, from beginning of the year to now, look like a different team.
Yeah.
They trounced New Orleans early in the year. They beat the Browns in Cleveland. They had a lot of good wins.
Kansas City.
Yeah, they had a lot of great wins, and all of a sudden they can't get any wins.
And they're in all the games. They're just losing close games. They're like the Atlanta Falcons of the AFC.
The Falcons, speaking of which, had a chance to upset the Chiefs.
Oh, that interception!
Man, dropped a pick to win the game. I'm not going to name any names, but some people had a small bet on the Falcons money line and could have won a lot of money. But they didn't go that way, and that's the trouble with big money line picks. Is usually you don't win, but if you do win, you get a big payoff. So we'll see you next week. We will see who gets the gold chain. I feel so naked without my chain.
It feels good on me. It feels at home.
All right. So
and if you guys decide that you could beat us and have better picks than us, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Throw them down.
and we'll do a toast. I almost forgot to do our toast for the week. Give me a toast. Is it going to be a Bears player again?
It's going to be Roquan Smith and those 2 interceptions he got. I don't care if it is Glennon. It's 2 picks.
I'm going to toast Aaron Rodgers. What a great season. I mean,
I can't toast him.
He doesn't age. He doesn't age.
I can't toast him.
Well, you're toasting Roquan Smith. I'm toasting Aaron Rodgers. So.
Thank you guys for signing in.
We're gonna finish smashing this whiskey while you smash that like button down there.
Make sure to subscribe.
And we'll see if I get the chain back. Again, make some picks down below, and if you beat whoever does better between the 2 of us, you get your own cash money necklace, and you get to keep it. You don't have to trade it back and forth like this.
It's all the ladies.
It does. So, see you next week. Cheers.
See ya.